Everybody's saying that they like my style. Wanna know how I do it? I smile. While you were out there saying hey, hi, hello, I was getting dressed up in shades of yellow.
Hello, welcome to the Lovely Job podcast. I'm Leah Spicer-Pownall. I'm the marketing manager of Miss Bush, and this is
Emma Marshall. I am the MD of Miss Bush.
And that was our very sleek new intro.
Yeah, I feel like we've got to get that nailed. When I listen back to the podcast, I'm not happy with the content, and then I listen to that first bit, and we're like, nobody knows what it needs a punch. Like people need to know what they're listening to, basically, straight up.
We always get it slightly wrong. Like one of us forgets our names, or.
Well, I've been listening to The Rest is Entertainment, which is probably my favourite podcast, and it's taken nearly a year for Marina Hyde to get her introduction right on that. So they are now quite slick. So
yeah, and she's probably media trained and everything. We're not, so I think we can forgive ourselves a bit. Something I really liked actually is we got this Spotify Wrapped thing last week, and when you're a podcast creator, you also get a creator's version. And one of the things that it said that people that listen to the Lovely Job podcast, things they also listen to was The Rest is Entertainment. I thought that was really nice.
Yeah, it's a very good podcast. I think that I think those two people, I mean, I think I aspire for us to be like Richard Osman and Marina Hyde, basically, but they're just so knowledgeable. And so even if they're talking about something I've got no interest in, I'm absolutely gripped. So that's
yeah, we're big fans of Richard Osman in this house. We watch Richard Osman's House of Games every day with our dinner.
Do you? Oh, I don't think I've ever watched it. So
yeah, it's great fun. Felix likes it.
Well, that's what I'm aspiring to be, is podcasters that we're making our very specialist subject interesting enough for people that are just visiting bridal.
Yes.
And not going to be in it for life, basically.
Okay, so Emma, how has your week been?
It's been a bit mad, actually. I didn't get back from Barcelona until really late on Tuesday. And then Marshy'd been ill, so I'm not really blaming anybody, but the house needed a bit of salvation after I got back. And then I didn't sleep very well, so I decided that I was so tired on Thursday that I would go and stay at my mum's Thursday and Friday night. So I don't really feel like I've been home. I didn't get home from work on Saturday until really late as well, because of that storm Dara, whatever it was so that was a bit of a white knuckle ride home. And it's always windy by the coast, so it's even worse here. So it's been one of those weeks where I normally would be I did this and this and this, and I haven't done anything very much, really. I've seen some lovely clients, but
that's good.
Some very fun appointments. Yes, absolutely. I've even sent Marshy to a solo art thing as well. There's a thing that I put on stories where they are it's a project based in Portsmouth called Empty Bowls, where basically they've got all the local artists to paint bowls, and you buy them, and it goes towards kind of a homeless charity, which I think is really important. So, and it's interesting to be in a London borough on sea, which is how I describe Southsea, and actually seeing coming from a very affluent county where I lived before, to actually see hardship and need and a completely different set of demographics. It does make you feel much more engaged with actually working with local based charities so that they can address the kind of actual local issues. So I normally would have loved that. So, but Marshy went on my place, but he did get a really good bowl for us.
Oh.
So that's good. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So what are we going to discuss today? I think there was something that was quite caused a bit of a stir again yesterday on Instagram.
Yeah, I don't think it was sponsored content, but there is a woman that keeps coming up on my feed, and it must be because she's got wedding coach in her handle, Rach the wedding coach. And I sort of shared it to stories, and it was one of those things that's triggered quite a lot of people. So basically there's a woman who is a fitness coach who says, if it was 4 months to be going to my wedding, I'd be doing this with my arms and that with my arms. And I was like, no. Firstly, I mean, we've already had the conversation about arms. like a couple of times, in relation to sleeves and in relation to people's hang-ups. I think that it is literally like mining people's like body hang-ups, like body confidence issues. It's mining it for like gain. I can't for like financial gain. And I like to quote my old PT as well. I was like, you can never ever train a bride to be. You can never train her, because whenever I would say I just want to tone this up, he would say things, really brutal things. It's like, well, if you lost some body fat, you'd see your muscle tone. I mean, I was like, but honestly, that is kind of true. Do you know what I mean? So you can't tone chub. You have to lose chub to find the muscle underneath it. It's so on a really horribly brutal kind of like proper PT like thing, I'd be like, right, you're not sensitive enough to put in front of people. I can cope with this, but you can't. So there's basically nothing that she is showing you is going to work without putting yourself in a calorie deficit for a start. So it's basically bogus PT advice. Also, arm shape and ability to tone thereof either will come from a long history of sport, and particularly sports that use upper body, because this is not something that just happens. It certainly couldn't happen within 4 months. It's also got a lot to do with your actual own physiology and your makeup yourself. So this maybe it's something that is you're never going to be able to achieve. But most of all, what I really hate is it just keeps going on and on and on. Like, to say to women that like somehow what your arms look like is a measure of your worth. And she's also got one about backs as well. So don't even start me about that, because the amount of weird back things that people have as well. Sometimes I hear these things supported by people in the shop. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, you've got a lovely back, darling. It's like, it's literally like, that's just luck, and who cares, because nobody's marrying a back or any other part of the torso or limb. Do you know, it is like the person that's the most important thing. So I really had that kind of like, oh, behave like. But on the other hand, I do also talk in the chapel about people using their wedding as a bit of a kind of impetus, or a bit of a kind of kick up the arse to do something. And I keep reframing it as self-care. There is absolutely nothing wrong with looking at your nutrition and looking at what you do for your physical health and your mental health, and thinking in a lead up to the wedding, it's quite stressful. So it is probably important to prioritize self-care, but not self-care to affect some kind of change to validate yourself. Do you know what I mean? This is self-care because I think, anytime I gain weight, it's not because I'm a glutton that's sitting around eating all the pies. It is because I'm busy, in a hurry. I forget to prioritize myself. You grab meal deals, you grab ready stuff, all the things, the processed food, is not brilliant for you, just generally, whether for weight or for actual intestinal health. It's just not great. So I don't think there's anything wrong as a bride to be like, actually, I'm going to take this moment to, if I've got the time, to actually focus and prioritize a little bit on mental health, because it is all I'm in my PE kit today. I've got a new PT, fierce woman, fierce. And so, I always have to prioritize that, but I'm not doing it at my age to be like an absolute like sex pot. I'm doing it so I can do up my own dresses with a zip at the back, or not get brittle bones or whatever it is, the osteoporosis, and like tap my foot and break something. It's definitely more of a self-care routine now, and I feel better for it mentally. As a person that's prone to sort of, was prone in the past. Actually, I think prone in the past when I had more hormones, now I think about it, anxiety and panic attacks. Like, I feel I can manage that now through my combination of yoga and breathing and exercise. So that I would say, I wouldn't say to brides, like, we're all going to judge you as a silly vain woman if you put some exercise and some self-care and a calorie deficit in, or you eat some more vegetables. But that, I think, it's what we should be doing always anyway.
So I think this wedding coach woman, if she wants to target brides and target brides to be, she should be doing it in a more positive way. Like, oh, I want to help you before your wedding mentally. So not like, oh, your back doesn't look very nice, I'm going to make it look better. It should be more, I'm going to help you feel good about yourself in the run up, because it's a stressful time. And it's like, if she wants to work with brides, that's how she should do it, really.
Yeah. And also, I think it's the before and after pictures as well. I always think, I think they're quite catnip on the internet. But Carol Ann, the makeup artist that we work with a lot, she doesn't even like to share before and after pictures of makeup. She inherently thinks that to suggest there was something wrong with someone's face before you put the makeup on seems like oddly judgy. And I've seen quite a few things like that, of like something that was thrown before me by the algorithms of celebrities without makeup, and I'm like, oh, who cares? As a woman that never wears makeup at all, I'm like, yeah, okay. I'd quite like to see myself made up, but in a funny drag kind of way. I quite enjoy that sort of artifice, but it doesn't. Yeah, I don't. But yeah, so I feel like that was a trigger, and if anybody, we'll put a link to her in the show notes, but only with a massive trigger warning saying we don't agree with any of what she's saying, doing, and even the PT advice is wrong and scientifically inaccurate. So
okay,
so she's been dealt with now.
Yes.
So we don't like her.
Oh, okay. If she's listening, what do you want? Like, if she happens to hear this, like, what's
she's not
the
going
kind of takeaway?
She's not. How would she find us? No, she's not going to hear it. But I would be like, if she was right in front of me now, sitting where you are, I'd be like, do you think what you're doing is the healthiest thing for women? I don't think it is. Also,
I don't think it's only us that have said this, because the comments are turned off on that reel.
okay.
So I think she's probably had quite a lot of backlash for quite a lot of people. So,
and also the other thing I'd like to say to her is, like, if you're going to sit around your office in a wedding dress, like critiquing arms and backs whilst effectively going, look at me, I'm so hot, I'd basically get a better wedding dress on, because the ones she's got in those reels are horrible.
Yeah,
I know they are. They're nasty. She's looked like, they're like, oh, okay, if that's what you think looks nice.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Okay, right, moving on.
From that woman.
So we've got a question from a few weeks ago, which is, who should you bring to an appointment? And we're going to kind of delve into all the different people that you could bring and why, and the positives and the not so positives as well. So what do you think?
It's really fascinating, because on Saturday just gone, I had a bride who brought her mum and her twin sister and her brother. And as far as I could ascertain, the brother was a straight man, I think. But he was great in the appointment.
It wasn't Nicholas Hoult, was it?
No, luckily. I don't think he has ever starred in any major movies, no.
A non-famous brother this time.
A non-famous brother. And he was really good. He basically helped a little bit with the whole, just going to top the glasses up, like a really good host. He had really positive comments. He he was able to say, yeah, you should definitely wear that. That definitely looks like a cool arty lesbian dress. And I was like, good, I'm glad, because I couldn't actually say those words in that order together, even though they were completely applied to my bride. So it was really good to have him there as well. But it is, just before we get on to who I think you should bring or not bring, it is quite weird to have men in the building. It feels now, when I say that, obviously Ben's in the building. He's Team Bush, so he's in the building, and I kind of feel like obviously he's completely different gender to me, but I don't really see that in the staff, because we're all of one mind. Like, you could have an appointment with any of us and we would all say slightly different things in slightly different ways, but we're all there to do the same job. And I'm not saying that I don't see gender, but I don't think that matters. And Ben's completely comfortable in that environment. But quite often, when you bring men into this environment, they're not that comfortable. It's like the chapel is very overwhelmingly female, and it's a female fronted company selling female products. And I think you will find quite often it feels quite intimidating to men. They look like they're shifting uncomfortably from one side to the other. Sometimes they will just drop off people. Maybe they're the designated driver or something. And they look really like they couldn't wait to get out of there as fast as they can. So it is quite unusual to see guys in the shop. We've had some occasions as well where people bring male partners with them. Mostly that's weird. I really shouldn't be, but mostly times I've seen that, I'm like, you want to be doing that kind of ask for Angela thing. It's like, do you need me to get you out of the back door? Is this date not going how you thought it would? So like a couple of times I've seen that. Firstly, it looks quite controlling. And weirdly, one time it felt quite sexual. It was just a bit like, ooh, oh, just, like people touching. I'm like, get out, get a room. No, I don't really want you to do that. That's kind of like really strange. Times that I've thought that having partners there was really touching, almost so touching I was like literally wailing in the back secretly to myself. I had one couple come in and both had been widowed early, so the wedding was a kind of like a renaissance for both of them, but also quite sad. So that was nice to see. Do you know what I mean? You just think, well, of course you're going to do this differently and you're going to do it together, because whatever you think, if you've been widowed, moving on is a touchy subject for everyone basically. So it's kind of, I thought that was really sweet. So but yeah, it's quite weird to see men, so they're like a category to themselves. There's also it's a bit of a trope, but it is the gay best friend. And like all gay best friends, sometimes it's like, okay, but just because you're gay does not necessarily mean you're an expert on bridal wear, right? It's just that doesn't come with being gay. It doesn't immediately know how this can happen or that can happen. Do you know what I mean? Or what cut this is and what fabric works. It's not like actually given out to you at birth. This ability to be really useful and fashiony in a wedding dress appointment. But obviously, seeing as we've got like two gay men that work for us, Ben and Adrian, I do appreciate they know an awful lot about bridal fashion, but that is because it's their job. So if you're like a gay vet, it's possible that you don't really know that much about wedding dresses, but yeah, that's quite it's quite an interesting one, that type. So sometimes I'm like, but on the other hand, sometimes just if you have someone that's just saying kind of cool things, even though they're the same things that I've just said, maybe it just sounds better, funnier. I don't know, if you've got your GBF there with you. So anyway, so that's like boys. They are
what about the dads?
Dads very rarely. Do you know the thing is though, now we rarely see a dad, because most people I think want to get a first look photo. So when their dads like see their daughters for the first time, and the deal is that they're supposed to tear up and look really emotional.
That is one of my favourite parts of blog posts sometimes, like probably daddy issues here, but like I love seeing the emotional dads. They're so cute.
They are really cute, but I've got like my thing with this is so weird, and this like overshare much, but like I don't think my relationship with my dad was very amazing, to be quite honest. He was a bit weird. He's been dead for several years now, and yeah, it wasn't an amazing relationship. So I sort of feel kind of jealous a little bit of that, because I didn't have like that person that I could say, oh, my dad was my rock, or my dad was my support, like, or he unconditionally loved me. My dad liked it when we achieved things and he basked in the reflected glory. I know that sounds quite harsh, but that is true. And you know, when my fortunes weren't as good, for example, when I got divorced, and my dad ran a chain of electrical retail shops, when I asked him for a fridge because I was really broke, he said, "Oh yes, yeah, just give me the money when you need it." And then when he turned up, he made me sign a hire purchase contract.
Oh.
And then also when I was literally in distress because I found that my husband had been having an affair with one of my friends, and I was like literally having a nervous breakdown. And when he came around in the morning, I was like, "You smell of booze," and it's like, well, no, I don't actually. I smell of rescue remedy, but thanks for your concern. So I have this kind of, those are just three like highlights there. There's a lot more. So I have this kind of thing of like, wow, that's so lovely and such a beautiful thing to have, because I don't think I ever really had it. And it was also like when my children's father died, I witnessed their grief, and I mean I was like sad for my, you know, like really I felt very shocked and bereaved by my my at that point he was an ex-husband, but we did a very conscious uncoupling, a la Gwyneth and Chris. So I was also, but I was able to spectate and witness grief for a father that I hadn't that I didn't feel for when my dad died. So it's kind of, yeah, so I think the dad's coming in that's got more, it says more about me than them, if that sounds
Same.
yeah.
I'm exactly the same. Like,
It's
what's that like?
Yeah, I
What
wonder what
does
that feels like. Someone who's
Oh.
like literally 100%
But
team you.
my dad is lovely, but he is also not emotional, not like he would never cry if he saw me in a wedding dress. Be like, yeah, looks great, nice one.
Yeah. So no, yeah, I don't think so. We don't get that. They get that many dads, I have to say. So I would say that you know, who you should bring and who we see are two very different things. The other thing with the mother-in-laws to be, now that's a can of worms right there. They are okay. Firstly, I would always check with the mother-in-law to be to see if she's actually got any girls, because sometimes if she doesn't have girls, she hasn't learned that tact that's required to go shopping with someone and be able to steer a purchase without any weirdness and, you know, commentary on people's bodies, figures, what they think is appropriate, what they think is inappropriate. So I see some really brilliant examples of mother-in-laws to be in the shop, and then you see some and you're like, wow, that's a car crash. And I will really want to take the bride aside and be like, right, you need to start putting down some boundaries now, because when you're married and if you have children or if you choose to have children, all that sort of stuff, it's like you need to like, they say, this is my family, these are my boundaries, this is what I believe, and you can just butt out basically. I've also weirdly saw recently, we should just say so nobody can identify it, a bride and the mother-in-law to be, and I just thought, oh my god, the groom has chosen his mother just younger. Like they're so similar. It was something Freud would have had a field day. I was like, this is like Oedipus complex. You're literally marrying your mother. Oh my god, how bloody weird is that? Yeah, I was like, ooh. So obviously that's quite a weird thing to like look at, and I suppose those people don't notice it or see it or recognize it, and you just like you'll be like, you're looking between one to the other, like he's chosen his mother. So I feel like that mother-in-law thing is like so that's quite a good
I think as well, when a mother hasn't got a daughter and she's only got sons, she then is also trying to get that experience of having a daughter. So it's never going to be the same, because she's not yours. You're not her mum. It's never going to be quite the same.
No, and I think that quite a lot of brides will ask their mother-in-laws, particularly if they don't have daughters, because they're not going to have that experience, and I think that comes from a lovely place, like a really sweet like thoughtful place. However, has your mother-in-law to be seen your bum or your boobs or your pants or any of the other things that might, now I'm not saying that you like that ritual nudity is something that happens in bridal, but do you know what I mean? There is sometimes where you're like fitting a dress and I'm like, oh, like doesn't quite do up at the back on this one. We have multiple sizes, so on sometimes you can have a dress really pinned and other times they might be a bit snug. I'm going to go, well, I'll just leave the buttons open on this one because you've got the fall of the skirt right at the front. And if your mother-in-law to be has never actually seen your bum in any way,
it's quite intimate.
Yeah, it is quite intimate. So like people's friends and sisters and mums have usually gone, oh my God, I've literally seen that so much at university. There's nothing she can do that will shock me now. But yeah, as I say, so it would be really, as I say, worth thinking what your relationship is like with your mother-in-law to be and whether you want to do a token kind of shop visit with her or you want to really involve her in the choice. And I guess that you've just got to look at that relationship with your mother-in-law to be and see where that's going or not going. And sometimes it's also quite strange. I see mother-in-laws and mums meeting for the first time in our space.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot, isn't it? You've also got, if they haven't met before, you really don't know if they're going to agree or disagree on something as personal as a choice of wedding dress. So that's quite a strange one to do. I kind of suggest that like our chapel is not the place for that because it should just be about the bride and not the rest of it. Oh, can I just like add a little weird thing into this?
Yes,
I just thought about
always.
Yeah. I remember one time, like, did you know it was a thing to like propose to your bridesmaids, i.e., like ask them to be a bridesmaid in a really kind of like grand gesture way? I think
I know a lot of people give gifts now. So like they'll give like a gift box, and it'll be like, will you be my bridesmaid, with a card and stuff inside. So I guess, I don't know if it's like proposing though.
Well, I had a bride set up a situation in my shop in the chapel to actually invite her bridesmaids and then ask them to be bridesmaids while she was trying on a dress, fully aware that she wanted it filmed and photographed and all that sort of stuff. And I can see that our shop is photogenic and it's a great backdrop for that. But classic error, she didn't like anything we had in the shop.
No.
She wanted sparkly and pretty and princessy and all that kind of stuff. And I think we had some like tiny little lone sample from Anacara, which didn't really fit or look nice in any way whatsoever, with quite a lot of like boob and bum hanging out of it. And that was the dress choice for this
that's a shame. I just
proposal.
don't know how that happens, because there's so many points along our customer booking process for that to not happen. Like, I don't understand. Like, in the booking form, we say, which dresses have you seen that you like? It's really important that you look at the dresses we have to make sure we're the right fit for you. There's the quiz. Like, there's so many opportunities to see what we've got in the shop.
I know. I don't know whether people just think that there will be more. I actually, one of the clients on Saturday, the guest with one of the brides said, "Is this all you've got?" I'm like, you'd be hours here getting through this, like getting through all we've got. It's probably 4 or 5 hours work to try on every single dress.
Every dress.
And then you've also got to multiply every top with every bottom, because you can have, that
you can mix and match so many things, can't you?
I would say there would be not an infinite choice, obviously, because that would be a wrong use of the word infinite, but the multiples of what you can have. So if you had like say we've got 100 Hazy's Pero dresses and you multiplied every top by every bottom, that gives you 1,000 options, doesn't it? Yeah. So
then you add coats and sleeves and tops and everything.
Yeah, and then change all the fabrics, then that's probably about, if you changed all the fabrics, there's at least 4 fabrics available for each dress, so that's 4,000 options. And I was like, no, we haven't got any more. This is plenty. So
I think again, it's like the difference. There's difference between a trying on session and an actual looking for a dress seriously session, isn't there? It's just different.
I had saw in one of the little, WhatsApp groups that I'm in with fellow retailers, and someone was talking about showrooming again, or the fact that we are
Yeah.
not shops but we're showrooms. And I think that this is part of the kind of challenge that we face as business owners, is the fact that very often now, even in major retail, the shops have two functions as a showroom, and they also like a sort of, a kind of almost a fulfillment center for like online purchases. So you're getting people doing, click and collect in store, you're doing returns in store, all those kind of things. And also, I do it myself. I look around and I think, oh yeah, I did it when I was in Barcelona. I looked around the H&M home thing there, thinking I'm not going to buy anything breakable or difficult to take home. So I'm actually just using this as a showroom with no purchase being made. And this is like a real challenge for bridal as well in this. I think I've really gone off topic, but anyway, is the fact that, we don't do badly with our conversion rate of clients. So we have about a 50% conversion rate. And anyone that says that they do more than that, that means half the people that are coming to see us are not bothering, are not going to buy anything. And also I spoke to a bride this weekend who'd done 2 shops on Saturday and had done 4 in London the previous week. So that her conversion rate as a bride is like,
Yeah.
that's a, oh my God, why can't I multiply 100 by 6? It's less than a 20% conversion.
I'm not going to help.
No, 15%. Anyway, whatever. So basically, it just means that, like, that sort of like that showroom experience, i.e., a complete. So it does link into who you're bringing, because are we going for a browsing showroom experience, and where there's no intention to buy? Are you doing it to placate your mother-in-law? Are you doing it to placate people? But the problem is if you don't buy anything, there's so many challenges with bridal retail at the moment, because the market is contracting quite fast, and these shops you can't just have shops that are just used as browsing stations. There isn't any money to be made in that. Even if someone charges you for an appointment, that's not going to cover. Our appointment fee doesn't even really cover opening, just a slight offset, and it makes people tend to show up. But yeah, so anyway, that's complete aside. This person asking me if they had any more dresses, I'm like, no. And also look at the website. So who would I say that my positives for who you would bring? And what I would see normally is people will tend to bring their mum, if they can, and they will tend to bring a sister and or a best friend. And to be fair, I think that is the kind of most common, most useful kind of grouping of people. In most cases, people's mums want their absolute best for their daughter. And as we discussed in a previous question, they usually are helping financially with the dress as well. So in a way, it's polite and good manners to let your mother have some input on a dress that she might be paying for. Your sister, no one is more brutal than a sister. And if your sister tells you you look nice in something, you better believe it, because that is a compliment that is hard to get. So I feel they're literally the most kind of like, yeah, that looks nice. Yeah, that's probably the best I've seen you. Like that. And you just think, oh my God, high praise indeed. It's from the sister. And best friends are just, that's probably the person you want there the most. But I think those are the women that go to shape your life and your opinions. So I think that I always encourage brides not to try and get a complete 100% consensus. I've said it before. I wouldn't wear some of my best friend's clothes. But I like their opinion, and they're very bright people. So it's that sort of thing. But it's also not the place to have an extended psychodrama with your mother either. So I kind of sometimes suggest that if you want to know your own mind and get some confidence around wedding dresses, before you bring people whose opinions can be strong or divisive, it's even quite a good idea to come by yourself, which I know doesn't sound that sort of like my best friend's wedding, bridesmaids sort of thing. it's not that sort of trope of like the girls together choosing a dress. But sometimes it's quite good to just know your own mind before you bring other people back. So
Yeah, I was going to say that, because if you go shopping for normal clothes, you don't have to take people with you. You just go by yourself, you choose what you want and you like it. Like you don't have to have, if you don't want to, you don't have to bring loads of people to be like cheering you on. Some people don't like it.
no, I mean,
And that's fine.
I can't think of any occasion where I've gone shopping with anyone other than Marshy and showed them anything like that I'm trying. Normally it's just a solo decision. So
yeah, if you don't have that kind of like you said, the film trope of having all your girls with you, like you don't have to do that. That's fine.
I have to say, it is quite good that COVID. One upside of COVID is it stopped the squad shopping kind of concept. Where everyone was bringing huge amounts of people, because again, it's annoying for me, and I know that sounds really awful. It's just you can't control the appointment in any way.
Can you?
You can't focus. You can't. There's almost no point me being there. It would be better if you wanted to bring 8-10 people to a wedding dress appointment to go, I don't know, somewhere self-service or because you can't get 8 or 10 people to agree on anything, just generally.
And if you choose a shop for their expertise and their fashion advice and everything, you want to actually be able to speak to the stylist and work with them.
Yeah, so I just find that on occasions I've probably done my worst appointments where you just think, I'll just give up. I'm just going to lean here and hang things up. There's no point. I can't get a word in edgeways, or I could have given the appointment to our young Leah. Because that's as much as they needed. They didn't really need any expertise. So
can we just explain? That's not me. that's
yeah.
I'm old Leah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Leah's the, what do you call her, the host?
So, yeah, she's more like a host, isn't she? She basically is the person that meets and greets at the door. She's fabulous, actually. She was off this weekend. She was at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
Was she? Oh, I'm so jealous.
Yeah. So basically, this is the challenge of having Saturday staff in Surrey, is they don't really need the money.
No, so don't need the job.
So ever since she's found out that there's such a thing as unpaid leave, she keeps taking unpaid leave. I was like, if you had a proper job, and now she is working with us pretty much full time now because she's on us for gap year. She's putting some money together for travelling. I was like, travelling though, you've just been to Abu Dhabi. It's like, and her parents are the sort of people that go to like the Maldives for Christmas and take them. And I was like, nice. Okay, nice. So so she's in the in Abu Dhabi this weekend. One of that young group of women who are into Formula One. That I think is I don't know how
there's a lot in Surrey because there's the McLaren headquarters in Woking.
Yeah. Yeah, there's quite a lot. So
they were all celebrating actually because they won the Constructors' Cup. I think I'm probably wrong. I like to just watch all of the chat and all of the build-up and everything, but not actually taking any of the information.
Honestly, I'm a bit no, I can't even. I think I know Lewis Hamilton, but only because he's done some. He wears clothes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and goes to some Met Gala. Yeah. So basically, that's the only reason I'm aware of anyone in it. I don't know anybody else. So,
but yeah, anyway. They did. They won it was McLaren. They did win the constructors after 26 years. There we go. I've looked it up.
Yay!
Yes.
So basically, So she's been on quite a journey with us. She was quite shy and withdrawn now. And now when she's there with me, I'm like. She's listening to how an appointment goes, and I turn around and I want a sleeve. She's already got it.
That's good.
She's great. She's really good. You'll meet her in person. Have you met her in person?
I've met her twice. Yeah, I've met her before. Yeah.
Well, you can
she just makes me feel very old because she gets called young Leah. I prefer to be OG Leah or something rather than old Leah.
Right. She's only 18 though, so that is quite young.
I know.
So.
Well, Corinne always says that she needs a different name because she doesn't look like a Leah, because in her head a Leah has to have gothic tendencies and have black hair and like me. But other Leah is very blonde and bubbly looking. It's home
And
like
she has
moody
like
goth.
the most talony claws you've ever seen. She's literally
Yeah.
got like nails like sort of Billie Eilish slash Cardi B, and she can function
Oh.
with them. And I'm always like, how?
Oh, how does
How
she
have
do
you?
buttons up?
She doesn't. She doesn't really. I don't know actually. She must do them what she's saying. Anyway, I digress. She was not
Anyway, yes.
here, and so
We're
I
at
missed
40
her.
minutes. We're at 40 minutes now. We've just been
Oh,
like babbling on about the F1 instead of wedding dresses.
very important, I feel. Anyway,
Mm.
so I would. Well, let's. We've got so like to summarize on the whole. Who should you bring to your appointments? It's like, yeah. I think it's one of those questions that you've got to ask yourself before you actually go to a wedding dress appointment. Is what do you want to achieve? Or do you love being the centre of attention? Are you a people pleaser? Do you know that your opinion might get drowned out? Do you, really think about it before you put the invites out? I think people's mums and sisters is a really safe bet, though. I have a few examples of like toxic motherhood, but not many, I have to say. Generally speaking, I think motherhood kind of, and having been in that situation, having a daughter, you kind of, it really makes you examine yourself about what you think about how you were parented, what you want to do differently yourself, all of those kind of things. So on the whole, and I'm having an absolute scream with the mums at the moment because pretty much I'm their age. So I'm loving the mums now. I don't
Yeah,
have
we've
to.
said that before. When you said before that you just chatted with the mums. You're like, oh, actually, this is an appointment. I need to stop.
We were like comparing and contrasting gigs we went to in the 80s. I'm like, damn it, okay, sorry, bride. Yeah, absolutely, right back with you, back in the room. So no, it feels kind of familiar because like the brides are kind of a similar age to my kids, and the mums are like a similar age to me with a similar background. So I find that really fun. So
Well,
the mums.
I really do think we need to do a Mother of the Bride event with Emma, like a meet and greet, like fashion advice just for mothers of the bride, which kind of goes into the next topic, which we do maybe have time for, just a few minutes.
Oh, just a little thing. Yeah, quite often I'm asked by mums about what to wear, where to go, all of those kind of things, which let's do a whole episode on that. I won't go into it specifically right now. But one of the
Okay.
things that I always say is about the royals at winter. And so I was looking at pictures that had come up of what's she called now? The Princess of Wales. Kate. No, she's not. She hasn't been Kate Middleton for years, has she? Kate.
No, Catherine.
Catherine. Basically, I was like, okay, that coat, red coat, to go to that carol services she hosted, that is like perfect Mother of the Bride winter wedding nailed right there. So what I always say to people, if you're like a mother in a winter, is get a brilliant, brilliant coat. I always say, look at the royals going to church at Sandringham. I don't know if they do that now, like the Queen has passed, but that winter coat vibe of getting a really, really beautiful coat. So you'll be warm, stylish. You don't know what's going on underneath there. You could have your jammies on underneath, or you could have a real kind of just a basic high street like shift dress or something. But the coat is the thing that makes the impact, and it is really elegant and warmth, elegance, and like no focus particularly on the body, which I think is really nice for mums because again, there's that conversation about that as well. So yeah, I think that was a moment there. If I was going to like have a Pinterest board for Mother of the Bride, royals in coats would definitely be on it a lot. So
Definitely. So for the carol concert, she had like a red coat with a black bow, which was really cute. I liked the bow. I
yeah.
do love a bow.
Yeah, I just thought you could, depending on what if there was a general colour palette for the wedding, you could, change that coat colour at will, basically. But that is the kind of thing that I would, really beautiful fitted coat, which also should then be a legacy piece for your wardrobe as opposed to a one-off buy. So I think that's a really good shout. So that was one of the things I did see this week. And
Okay, right. So we're at 45 minutes.
okay.
So would you like to stop there? Because we are actually recording next week's episode straight after this one because we've got the Miss Bush Christmas party. So
Yes, absolutely. Let's stop there. But just before we absolutely sign off for today, can we just say thank you to Sophie Duckworth, who's photographing our arch, our Christmas arch. And that's with the videos that, not the OG Leah, the other one, has filmed. We will be sharing our Christmas arch photos with you very soon. And whilst we're talking about Christmas, and maybe you'd like to gift someone something, we have our Christmas candles for sale on our website, along with our original bush candles and the festive winter fragrance ones as well.
They are the perfect stocking filler for our Miss Bush bride.
Go us! We sold something! Yay!
Marketing.
Let's after literally having gone down the rabbit hole of the rest of it. So there's a bit of marketing for you. Okay, Leah. Well, let's say goodbye, and now we're going to practice how to round up in a very smooth way as well.
Okay. Thanks for listening. See you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.
You'd like to know, wouldn't you? You'd like to know, wouldn't you? You'd like to know, wouldn't you? You'd like to know.